Oh, hey, Nanas. Hey, we're just in time. I got a kitty. She likes to live on my lap. She's a very good kitty. She likes to be spider cat too, so if you see like this stuff moving around, it's because she's back there doing the spider cat stuff. But right now she's getting cozy. Uh, I'm doing this stream because I kind of have a little bit of spare time and get Indian. I like sitting Indian style. Uh, what was I saying? Oh, I've got a bit of spare time in the mornings. So I figured, why don't I just kind of stream and just talk about whatever for a little bit? And a little wake and bake, we can talk about the news. If there's any news, I don't know. I don't actually watch the news. I keep up with some things, but not everything. It's hard to keep up with everything, you know? I mean, it's also damn depressing. Good news is very hard to come by, and that makes me want to turn it off because I don't always want to see sad, depressing bullshit. Sometimes I just want to see happy stories about some grandma who got her cat rescued or something. You know, it's nice to be reminded that there's good in the world. And I think not just the media is causing this problem, but we're part of the problem too. I mean, we really love bad news. Can somebody explain to me why? Like, we really get off on tragedy for whatever reason. Like, happiness, that's cool. Sadness, okay. Yeah, it's some kind of live stream where I can actually see the chat for once. Normally, I'm playing a game and it's full screen, so I kind of just ignore everybody. I gotta get like a second monitor set up or something. I'm really stupid when it comes to computers. I'm just really terrible with it, so. But no, I was just talking about shenanigans right now. I can talk about other stuff too. Other things like, you know, like it's always a good idea to double check that what you're ordering is actually going to where you live. I say this because actually recently, um, when I put in my order for the prints uh, through Mixum, which this isn't a fault of the site, by the way, none whatsoever. This is 100% Skinny's fault. But uh, when I went to go order the prints on Mixum, I updated my address, but I wasn't paying attention when I did. And I was just updating my billing address. So all my prints actually ended up 3,000 miles away. I want to say that way. Don't worry, they did show up, and family is still at the old residence. So they were able to have it shipped to me, and I should get them on Wednesday. But always double check your address, people. I'm getting into that new weed technology. Uh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Getting into that new weed technology called dabs. People were doing this in Alabama, but getting a hold of this kind of stuff in a place where this kind of stuff is highly illegal, for one, it's not easy. For two, it's really expensive. They were charging like I think I paid maybe $15 for like a gram of wax. In Alabama, they were charging like fucking $80 to $120 for that. I have. I'm sorry to hear that, Eric. I've actually never had any issues with Mixum. I've had them. They did a. You'll know what I'm talking about here. Um, but they did a misprint on the chick tracks that I had Daniel Fly Fox do, and I don't know why they had the misprint because I ordered them on just regular letter size sheets, and the idea was just to cut out the strips, put them in order, staple them together, and then we're good to go. But for whatever reason, Mixum decided that on the opposite side, that they were going to completely flip the other art, even though I specifically told them, like, hey, this is what I'm doing with it. This is what it's for. This is why the orientation isn't important. And they still screwed it up. But when they did, I just reached out to them. I mean, they replaced everything, and I think they even sent me some extra ones too. Uh, they covered costs and everything. So I understand damages happen, but because sometimes you can't prevent that. But are they doing anything to fix it? That's my question, because that's the one that's important. Because Murphy's Law, anything's possible, but you will use them for prints, but not for books. Yeah, I'm actually giving who is it? Comic Wellspring, I think. Greco. I really hate it that that company has like two different names because I always get them mixed up with somebody else. But I'm actually trying them for Otis number two. Um, Thanks to some requests from some other friends. But I've always liked mix them. I mean, I'm not gonna simp for them if they're screwing you over. That's that. But doesn't mix them also? They're not like an actual printing company. Don't they just kind of contract out to smaller printing companies? Like uh, it's like the Uber Eats of printing. Like you don't know who's gonna show up or who's gonna get your order. It's just like whoever wants the contract, I suppose. Oh, they packed them up. Damage. Oh, that's fucked. But I don't know. I know it's really irritating for you. You're like Skinny. You should be angry about this, but I'm thinking about like all the avenues too because I'm wondering if maybe they're feeling the heat and they're understaffed because nobody wants to work during COVID. I've seen that a lot at different establishments, whether it be restaurants or even retail outlets. They're really hurting right now and they're doing bad business, but a lot of it is just due to, they only have a handful of people trying to do everything when they're used to having like four handfuls of people. Uh, Comics Wellspring has always done good for me. I use them for my comics. Yeah, I really like their set. My favorite thing about them that nobody ever told me about that would have sold me on Comics Wellspring from the get go was that uncoated paper comes stock. I pay extra with Mixum for uncoated paper because I don't want gloss or matte finish paper. I want paper that feels like paper. I don't want my comic to feel like a magazine. Some people do. If they do, that's okay. That's just not my preference. I really like the uncoated. I don't know. It just if I'm gonna make a comic, I'm gonna make the comic that I want to have. So, and I'm a big fan of the uncoated paper. I feel like it's easier to turn the page to. I feel like the gloss and matte slip a little too much, like if you're eating something greasy, and I know you're not supposed to mix grease and comics, but some of us actually read this stuff we buy. Uh, Mixon was very helpful and issued reprints right away, but still some of the new ones were damaged, but I have enough to fulfill. Well, that's good. I'm glad they got you taken care of. That would have been far worse if they told you to just piss up a rope. And it sucks that you got some damaged books, but due to my experiences and the fact that they do try to take care of the people, I do want to try to give them a little bit of slack and benefit of the doubt. We can't be like those other guys, man. We can't just fuck up an order and then go on a tangent on Twitter before talking to the company and then look like an asshat because our entire issue could have easily been resolved. I'm not talking about you, Eric. You're cool talking about Mixon because you're not talking shit. We're just talking about what's going on with you. But other people are very quick to just one thing happens and they're straight to Twitter throwing a company under the bus, and I think that's really stupid. For one, you're burning a bridge with that company. It could be something that's their fault. It could be something that's not their fault. Uh, but also, it looks bad on you. That's not very professional. It's not professional for us to run around and try to crucify other companies and stuff. It makes no sense to bitch about cancel culture, but turn around and try to cancel a company because they they didn't ship your book in a Gemini mailer when they stipulated that if you want that you can request it. I think that was some issue somebody had with Kablam and they went nuts on that. I really don't remember too much about it. I'm not a fan of Kablam. I know the Rags team really hit hard for them, but and it's nothing against the people, and it's nothing against the quality of their books, but the way their ordering system and their website is just it's just a huge headache, man. Like I go in there, I can log in right now, and I have quotes that it still like gives me notifications on that are like 2 years old, and there's no way for me to get rid of them. I've even reached out to them. I'm like, hey, can we like close out all these older quotes or whatever? Because none of that ever happened. Because on some of these sites, you actually have to tell them what you want, and then they'll come back to you with a quote. It's not instant like Mixum. I do like that about Mixum is that it's pretty much an instant quote. Yeah, that's that's a shame too because I was actually considering doing hardbacks. I was gonna see if I could get Carlos to like smoke a lot of meth and just crank out a remaster of issue 1 before we launch issue 3. Sorry, issue 3, so that way I could include like a hardcover trade of issue 1 through 3 because that's 96 interior pages of just story alone. Plus, I probably have about 10 to 20 pages of filler, like fan art and stuff like that, I could pad it out a little bit with. And I was getting pretty excited. I was like, man, maybe I can do a hardcover. Because one thing I do that I've noticed that Tonic Mole does too is I want to get down to. I don't want to manage too many floppies at one time, and I know that sounds incredibly gay. I don't want to have too many. I don't want to sell too many single issue comics at one time. That's a lot to manage. I think my plan is. I think you're doing something similar too. I forgot how many issues are in your trade, but I'm just going to do 3 issues, and then I'm going to do what I ended up deciding to do was I'm going to do 3 single issues, and then I'll do a trade paperback of them. And then the next 3 issues, I'll do a trade paperback of that as well. But then on top of that, I want to do a hardcover with 6 issues. Uh, because the entire arc is 6 issues long, but I've kind of got it set up to where they're like mini arcs too. Every like there's always a good stopping point every 3 issues, even if that current arc isn't finished, one story element is. But that's kind of what I was thinking about doing was doing that. Not really sure. I won't think too far ahead, but we are halfway done. I want to say it's halfway. Yeah, 'cause we got 15 pages inked. Uh, I posted on Twitter that I had 12 uh, colored and ready to be lettered, but that was actually incorrect. It's only 10. You can clearly see on the picture that I shared that my math was really terrible. I didn't do that intentionally. I don't know why I thought 12. Yeah, that's what I was talking about doing. Is like, you know, I'll only go back, like, do the single issues in uh, 3 issue increments. I'll sell number one. I'll sell number two and offer number one. I'll sell number three and offer number one and number two. But then once I sell number four, I'm not going to offer single issues for one, two, and three. I'm just going to offer that trade. And then when it comes to five, I'll offer that trade and number four, a single issue of number four and five, and then same thing with, with six, and then just go from there. And then once I get to six, I think it'd be cool to do like a hardcover because that at that point I'd be getting really close to having almost 250 pages after you include all the interior art and extras I could put in there. I could have a nice 250 page hardback for issues 1 through 6. Morning. We're just hanging out. I'm just talking to Eric about stuff because Eric's pretty cool. I want to get it set up. I know some people are going to laugh at me because I've set up like 8 different Discords and none of them ever go anywhere. I don't know why. I think I keep forgetting passwords and stuff. But it's a bunch of stuff. Like we had like ended up having two set up for Comics Underground when Doug was doing that, and yeah. But anyways, my point is am thinking about getting something set up on Discord so that way I could, uh, if any of you guys wanted to hop in and just shoot the shit or whatever, you would be able to. I would just have the Discord chat, voice chat, or video or whatever. I gotta figure it out. I'm terrible with computers. I'm not very good when it comes to technology. I get by, but I'm one of those guys that if the computer's not doing what I want it to, I start getting sweaty and angry, and I just kind of low key start turning into the Incredible Hulk. I just want to start beating shit. There have been times where I picked up a keyboard and just slammed it. I don't do that shit anymore. I smoke too much weed to be that angry. Now I just avoid it. But I am trying to figure out the streaming thing. I guess I need 2 monitors. Because somebody suggested, like, looking at the chat on my phone, but for one, my phone's small, and when I'm playing a game, I can't really hold it up close enough to where I can actually see it. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have glasses. Uh, but on top of that, even if I had it set somewhere, like I'm on my laptop, so even if I had it set up here and I could barely read it, my phone screen's going to go off, and if it doesn't, it's going to overheat and die. So I think I'm going to try, because I got it. I got an HDMI cable for going to the TV because sometimes I like playing the games on the TV. So I'm thinking about maybe seeing if I can put like have the YouTube on the TV or the chat and then the game right here. And then that way I'll be able to play and actually talk to people and not completely ignore them because I don't know they're there. But also with the Discord thing, people would still be able to, if I'm able to get that going to some degree, people could like join in and we could shoot the shit and talk about things. Like, I saw that new Warhammer game from Fat Shark Studios got delayed, Dark Tide. That thing looked really cool. They had previously done Warhammer Vermintide 1 and 2, which are both very excellent games. It's, I would say it's better version. It kind of follows the Left 4 Dead formula to a degree, but they make it their own. There's a lot of character progression, leveling up, skills, um, lots of different weapons. You actually loot. Well, you don't really pick up the loot, but you find loot dice and shit, and then you roll for cool loot at the end of a game. Really fun. They're doing it, and it's going to be in the 40K universe this time. So, same game concept, but instead of being in the fantasy Warhammer, it's going to be in the 40K Space Marines. They got a lot of cool writers involved that are making sure that this game is very lore friendly. It's one thing that you don't see very often uh, is when a franchise actually does a lot to respect its own lore. I think Warhammer's one of the few franchises doing that right now. I don't think anybody else is, like, at all. I'm not even sure if the new fucking Tolkien stuff is lore friendly. I see a lot of people complain about it, but I never liked Lord of the Rings because I hate to copy Clerks too, but it's just a movie about walking for me. I really wasn't that entertained by it. It wasn't terrible. I napped a lot. Hey, Miss Daniel. Yeah, I'm doing this stream here because I got some time because I dropped my wife off and then I gotta wait around for a while and then I go into work. She gets her at home. So I figured I might start streaming around this time. Do like a little wake and bake with Skinny because I got a few hours before I even go into work. Which my work's going really good. I really love my job. I wouldn't say that I'm happy about going into work. I would still much rather stay home. Well, not stay home, but have the time to myself to go out fishing and go in the sunshine. Dude, like my legs, you see how white my legs are? It's because for whatever reason my legs won't tan. Uh, my wife and was making fun of me because like during the winter my legs got really white. And so I've been out in the beach in the hot sun, 98 degrees, full sun, 3 times now, wearing shorts, no sunscreen, no nothing. My legs haven't burned, they haven't tanned. The only thing they have done is gotten whiter. I can't explain it. My wife can't explain it. I don't. I think the angrier I get at the government, the more Irish I become. I'm like, I'm aware Irish. No, I bake something other than cookies, but it's legal here, so that's okay. I wouldn't be baking this early in the morning. I'd wait until closer in the evening when it's not so hot. Right now the temperature's rising. I'd rather bake when it's descending or decreasing. Uh, oh yeah, I could talk about this. Um, I still gotta get some more pages for you too, Fly Fox. I suppose. I just wasn't too worried about it because I am trying to get stuff done for Carlos as well. Not that it was a burden or anything, just if it's not something you can get around to right now, I'm just not going to worry about it. I want to do it when you're ready to get around to it, though. Just I got to put that energy elsewhere. But pretty much, I just bought one of these, and it's an letter size art book, so 8.5 by 11. But yeah, so like, I don't know if you can see that very well or not. Maybe the light's too bright. Maybe that's better. But yeah, like this is one of my draft pages. Like I don't do scripts. Fly Fox is familiar with this. But I don't write scripts like really much at all. I'll have a I have like a little notepad document where I just lay out the base beats for an issue. Like I'll name off like I want A, B, and C to happen. And then I just kind of go from there and I start sketching things out and kind of I have a good idea of how many of guesstimating. Is my camera like focusing and zooming in and out, or am I just like, did I smoke too much? It only happened for a split second. That was weird, but it was out of the corner of my eye. So, what the hell was I saying? No, I was saying, oh yeah, I've gotten pretty good about guesstimating how many pages certain actions will take. Uh, like I would say for issue one I would just it'd just be like three paragraphs. It's like the cops show up at the house. Uh Paragraph two, Otis fights monster in the woods. Uh Paragraph three, you know, Otis gets captured or something like that to that degree. Just simple basic layout, no dialogue, no nothing, just basic story beats, and then I sketch it out, which that's what I was showing you guys. But I've already shown these pages before. Like these pages are on the campaign page too, like finished and everything. But yeah, I just sit here and I just draw out the comic. Um, I do have a story in mind. I just keep all that stuff in here. I don't see a purpose in putting it somewhere else. I'm really weird for a writer, I suppose. Maybe not. Maybe I just think I'm unique and I'm not really. But I have yet to meet anyone who operates in the same way that I do. Not exactly, but like one of the reasons why I don't write a lot is because I use my uh, memory is kind of a filter, you know? If I can remember something for a couple of days, like an idea that I had for a comic, it's usually a really good idea. But if I forget it, it's usually not worth even thinking about. Like the stuff that sticks usually ends up making it into it, and it's kind of like having like Your subconscious is your editor in chief. Yeah, I go in the sun and sparkle, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is this year. This is different, but my legs have legit gotten whiter after I went outside and been in the sun. Because I get a lot of sun. I may not look that tan in this light, but like, I don't know. Maybe you can see I got a farmer's tan, but it's for my wife beater because I'm white trash. I'm one of those guys. But yeah, it was really nice. So we've been out to the beach a few times. It's been really great weather. We're in a heat wave, which is just it's kind of like home for me, so I'm happy as hell. I'm like it's finally not cold. It's actually like nice and hot, but it's not super humid out here still, so it's not nearly as bad as it would be in Alabama. So I'm thankful for that, but I don't understand. I can understand people being freaked out by like really low freezing temperatures. And I know people die of heat stroke and stuff, but it just seems incredibly odd to me because the humans as a species are a tropical species. We are built to withstand heat, yet we are always concerned about heat. Like if things are going to get too hot. I was reading not I wasn't reading an article, but I remember watching a video, and it's one of the founders of Greenpeace. He's got some kind of doctorates for he knows what he's talking about basically. I can't cite it exactly, but I'm sure if you googled founder of Greenpeace, um, but he was saying that if the temperatures actually increase, we actually benefit because that means they're able to grow more crops in places like Canada, and we actually may also see a resurgence in the tropical climate for the Sahara Desert because it hasn't been a desert for very long. It actually used to be very incredibly tropical. There used to be a lot of greenery and lush life there. They've been discovering that, and it's really intriguing because it's like how quickly it just and turned like half of the damn continent into a fucking litter box. But they say that the decreasing temps were doing that or something to that degree because I guess when there's so much water in the ice caps, that water's not getting anywhere else. I don't know. Uh, I don't worry about what the earth does because I can't control what the earth does. I think we also have pretty big egos if we think us can do major damage to this giant fucking planet that is older than our concept of time. This this planet was around long before us. But the other thing is humans are the most adaptable species on this planet. We invented air conditioning. We have heating. We warm water. We cook food. We refrigerate food. Do you really think that we're gonna die off that fucking easy? I don't. I mean, I just think about shit like Waterworld, even though it's a terrible ass movie. God, man, I actually hate that movie. But I mean, even if like it becomes a bunch of ocean, we'll just end up like Waterworld. We'll be like chilling out on fucking boats and shit. Desalination's a thing. We'll be fine. I mean, as a species, we always adapt. We've been through the ice age for fuck's sake. We survived that. I don't know. I have more faith in the uh what would be the word for it? I don't know. The ruggedness of humanity. I don't think we have anything to worry about. Unless somebody starts dropping nukes, then we're all fucked. There's no toughness involved in that one. Unless, there's somebody out there like doing like booty lead injections. Like the most radiation proof thought out there. She's got like lead lined butt implants and titties, and it's like if you took the Red Scare and put it into an thought. Like how they had like those fucking boxes and shit that they were selling to people. I wonder if that's gonna make a comeback. Because I know they were talking about, uh, in case of nuclear attack in New York or something to that degree. So now I'm wondering if we're gonna start seeing like radiation shielded jackets and stuff like they used to sell. Because they used to sell a lot of wild fucking shit in the 50s and 60s. And none of it would save you. That's the funny part about it. Like, maybe that's where they got the idea of like the fridge thing and that Indiana Jones spin-off movie with the aliens, uh, Crystal Skull or something like that. But maybe that's where they got the idea because they were legit, just like basically selling people cardboard boxes, and they're like, "Here, you could hide in this," because like the company knows that if something does happen, like if this product doesn't work, they're not gonna be able to come back and wedge a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. We can't say. Would you imagine that just feral ghoul walks into a business like your fucking product doesn't work, sons of bitches? But world's always changing. I've kind of still not happy with things are going. I'm a little worried, but I'm not too worried. Our My grandmother recently passed away, and I'm not saying that to for sympathy points and everything. I'm at peace with it. She was 3 days shy of being 93 years old. The things and changes she's lived through pale in comparison to anything that I've gone through. So even if right now feels like the end of the world, it's not. Give it a couple of years. We'll bounce back. There'll be a new problem. There's always a new problem, but everything usually turns out alright in the end. She lived through a lot. Let's see. 93, so yeah, so she was born in like, I want to say like 33. I don't remember when her birthday was exactly, but she's lived through a lot of fucking shit, a lot of crazy shit, a lot of changes, man. Think of it. When this woman was born, indoor plumbing really wasn't even widespread, and neither were phones. Phones were still archaic for a long time. And you got to think about television and broadcasting. Like, it didn't exist when she was born. As far as I know, I don't think it was around in the 30s. I think it was starting to come about in the 40s. I'm not sure. Somebody can correct me on that. But still, like, the amount of shit that happened just in her lifetime alone just kind of amazes me. I'm like, this woman experienced all these different fucking things. She experienced the birth of the internet. Um, she experienced the birth of fucking 8 track and cassette tapes and CDs and DVDs and movie theaters and VHS and home theater systems, home manufacturing. She died in an age where somebody can have a 3D printer. Do you think she would have ever thought about that? That's fucking wild to me. It's amazing. It makes me think of what all kind of wild shit's gonna happen when, like, by the time I die. Probably not much. I don't think I'm gonna be around too long. No, I'm just joking. Uh, I do a lot of stupid shit though. I'm usually pretty safe when I'm out there in the bush. Uh, but yeah, like think about like how much is gonna change by the time you go. And then think about how much is gonna change when your offspring goes. Like, if we follow that, we'll we'll be in space a lot sooner than I think people give us credit for because of how quickly some things have moved without any explanation. I don't know. Who knows? It's just weird, wild shit to talk about. I'm just killing time. But I don't know. My original point was like, even with her, the political landscape was ever changing. She went through Vietnam and she was a kid when World War II was going down. Uh, fucking, she saw the fall of the Berlin Wall. There's a lot of things she lived through. She lived through the Red Scare, the Cold War. She saw Desert Storm in the 90s, the Cuban Missile Crisis. JFK was assassinated. All this shit happened in her lifetime, and our country survived. Uh, our country survived JFK getting his brains blown out by the CIA. Somehow, some way, we managed to press on. And I want to say it's intentional on our part. I want to say humanity's more like a weed than anything else. We're just stubborn. And I don't think it's going to change too much. I hope not. Things are changing for the better. The NFA is going down. You get rid of the NFA, you get rid of the ATF, baby. No more infringing on people's rights. As soon as that happens, everybody's going to start challenging state laws. It's going to be excellent. We're getting back to freedom. I love freedom. I know that sounds like such a silly thing to say, but I know people all over the world. I know how bad it can be. One of my buddies, James, had fucking cops show up at his door because he made memes about his prime minister. So I'd have to say that given certain events that have transpired over the past 2 years, I have gained a new appreciation for the freedoms that I do have. And sadly, for the government, it just made me want more. Because I, in doing so, I realized that there's these other things that they shouldn't be doing that they are doing, as well as many other Americans. And if you haven't noticed, the media doesn't cover it a lot, but we are gaining a lot of ground. And I don't mean we as in Republicans or Democrats or any of those gay clubs. I mean we as in the people. The ATF tried to go after uh, one of the firearms guys that I watch on YouTube, CRS, I believe. And they got him because he showed a key card or showed a picture of one, which is it's just a metal card with an etching on it. But you know, if you happen to cut it out and insert it into certain weapons, it you know does this really cool magic trick. But the point is he showed a picture of a tchotchke, just a key card. Keep in mind all the weapons in the U.S. military, like at least with firearms and whatnot, most of their patents are publicly available. You can go look them up any point in time, figure out how to make one, and make one yourself. They probably don't want you to do that, but their info is out there for the public, so there's no reason to bang this guy for the same thing. Anyways, that put them in a very difficult position because uh, with the new passing of the Constitution carry, I forget the name of the case, but it's really exciting stuff. I'm sorry I'm spacing on the details. Maybe Monday when I come back to this, I'll talk about it more in depth and I'll actually have something written up so I can remember names. But anyways, due to what's going on with the Constitution carry in New York freaking out, that opened him up in his case against the ATF to challenge the NFA outright as being unconstitutional. And, the NFA is the National Firearms Act, and now the courts are having to go back and try to uh, states and federal courts are now having to go back and try to set a historical precedent, meaning that if historically they didn't always ban guns, there's no reason to do it now. Uh, which is the argument that's being told. That's why, which is really funny because they can't even point to the ATF. They can't point to the assault weapon, not assault weapons, but the machine gun ban in the 80s. They can't point to the NFA. Even in the 30s, it has to go farther back than that, which looks really good for anyone who's focused on the right to bear arms. Uh, it doesn't mean anything will change drastically. It'll still be years before you see any drastic changes, but the wheels are turning, and that's the amazing part. Is because once this moves up, if they do end up repealing the NFA, because it's exposed, like everybody's dropping it like a fucking hot potato right now. Them and the ATF are going out of style, and I think people, especially politicians, realize that the people are not happy with federal infringement on their rights. Uh, I'll say it, and I'll say it a million times, but the ATF is a domestic terrorist organization. Changed my mind. Those guys do nothing but create criminals out of law abiding American citizens. That's all they do. And the way they get around it is they can't pass any laws per se. But what they do is their job is to interpret laws. So what they do is they'll take this law, like I think I was watching on CRS and he had a good point about it. They'll look at this law that says, all purple cars are banned. They'll go in, well, does this just mean purple, or does this mean like the base colors that make up purple? What about blue cars? What shade of purple? So they will take this one law and go in and find a way to make hundreds, and I mean literally hundreds, of nonsensical laws against it. There's court proceedings you can look up with the ATF where they're pointing at two different guns and they're saying, this one is okay, this one is not okay. And then somebody says, well, what's the difference? They look like the same gun. And the ATF guy? Well, they create criminals out of law abiding citizens. They are a threat to the United States and a threat to our Constitution. I'm surprised this organization has been around for as long as it has, especially after the events of Waco. I'm very disappointed that they were able to continue after that. They shouldn't have. They should have never even got to that point. I don't know how our country got to that point, but they didn't. No, that should have never happened. It's in the Constitution. It's there plain as day. Shall not be infringed. It's very easy to understand. And if you want to say that other countries are better than us and they don't have weapons, like Australia, okay, they're putting people in fucking COVID camps, or they were. They may not now, but they were doing some really fucked up shit to their people. They're beating the hell out of people who were protesting fucking vaccine mandates. Same thing with the UK. Same thing with Canada. People had their fucking rights trampled. And some people were forced to have a fucking vaccine injected in them that fucks with your DNA. What the fuck, man? That's why guns are important. Because when we have guns, our government doesn't have the balls to pull shit like that. They will try, but they won't get very far with it. But that shit was scary. I felt bad for my friends. I still do. They're still in these countries led by fucking radical, crazy ass people. And that's why people come here. That's why immigrants come here. That's why you'll find some guy from who immigrated from Czech will love America far more than some white girl who grew up in the suburbs here. Because he understands what life is like beyond our borders. And I won't say that I understand it 100%, but I know enough people to understand that things are a lot better here. And I don't mean like it's a prettier country or whatever, just as far as rights go. There's still a lot of beautiful countries out there that I can't wait to visit. I look forward to visiting. We'll see. But anyways, I'm about to wrap things up. Been streaming for a little bit. Been kind of going on. I really didn't know what to talk about. But like I said, I'm going to try to do this maybe Monday through Friday. Every morning, I'm going to try to have it set up to where I can have people kind of come in and chill if they want to. If they want to come on and talk about something. The only rule that I would have is if you want to come on and talk about how much you hate what they're doing with Star Wars or Marvel or whatever, just don't. I don't care. I'm tired of hearing about it. I've heard about these franchises getting butt raped for years now. I'm done with it. I've closed that book. I've moved on. Come and talk to me about things you like. Tell me about that new movie you watched that you really think is pretty cool and you wish more people would see. Tell me about that cool webcomic you found online that entertained you for about 2.5 hours at 3 a.m. Come tell me about the things that make you happy. But until next time, insert